I guess it wasn't about the price of eggs after all. Seating arrangements are important. They are significant. Where you put people on the inaugural stage is a strict definition of where you think they rank. And so it wasn't a trivial thing that the wealthiest people to ever walk this planet, who control our communications platforms, were seated in front of the cabinet itself, which, by the way, has a few billionaires and 100 millionaires, but it was never about reducing the price you pay at the pump. It was never about reducing the price you pay for your mortgage or your rent or your insurance or your grocery bills. It was always about cutting Medicare, Medicaid, the Affordable Care Act, Social Security, public education, in order to pay for the largest tax cut in human history. That's what this is. They are ripping you off.
Women of TikTok, especially conservative women, if you see what is happening right now with mass deportations, with rolling back civil rights, ending DEI in the federal government, declaring that there are only two genders, and that the government will tell you which gender you are, you would be foolish to think that we are not next. I mean, we are already impacted by the DEI freeze in the federal government. There was a big story yesterday about a Trumper who was pleading for Trump to understand the unintended consequences because his freeze on DEI hiring was costing his wife her job at the VA. You know, classic fuck around and find out. Like, oh, the Cheeto, he didn't mean us. That must have been an accident. He wasn't ever coming for us. This is what I've seen from so many women. Like, he's not coming for our basic rights. Y'all are being alarmist. You would be foolish to think that Project 2025, the men who wrote it, the ideology that is driving the current administration, is not gunning for women's basic rights. And I'm not talking about reproductive health care, because we all know how that's gone. And you can say like, oh, I'm pro-life, so I'm in favor of, current proposed legislation where women could face the death penalty for seeking reproductive health care for any reason. Okay, fine. Let's say that you're fine with that. You're okay with that. That fits with your beliefs and worldview. You know what they're coming for next. Basic rights and privileges that we take for granted that did not exist for our mothers and grandmothers. I'm 45, right? So in just my mother's generation, women could not have credit cards in their names. Our memory is so short, we forget it was not long ago that women couldn't hold property, couldn't have bank accounts, were functionally property of their husbands. Marital discipline, aka hitting your wife, was legal. And it was barely 100 years ago that we got the right to vote, that white women got the right to vote. Our foremothers fought, were imprisoned, were bloodied and bruised, died for us to get our right to vote. And now there is open talk of rescinding that right. We already saw in the last election that men want to control their wives' votes, want to stand behind them in the voting booth, want to fill out their ballot for them at home. The next step that has been proposed, and again, used to be a very fringe conversation and is now being openly discussed, is basically what equates to the conservative Christian perspective of federal headship. The husband is the head of the household and he speaks for the whole household. A wife has no need of the vote if she has a husband. He will represent all of the household. That's where we're going. Y'all said Project 2025 was something that we were overreacting about and was never going to be implemented. Who do you think is authoring those executive orders that are coming across the Cheetos desk for him to sign? Do you not know that Project 2025 has been rebranded America First and is an official policy, an official outlook of this administration? And they plan to implement all of it. Not just the coming for your spicy romance novels and making them illegal. Not just taking away reproductive health care from women, including birth control. Not just making it legal to discriminate against women in the workplace. They're coming for very, very basic things like your right to have a bank account. They're coming for no-fault divorce. Look at the bill in Indiana. They're coming for your right to vote. They want to go back to a time when you are legal property of your husband.
It's the most satisfying papo I've ever done. Welcome to Fuck Around and Find Out, where we mock MAGA for their terrible choice. Yeah, it's gallows humor. We're all on the block. So remember back during the election when the Fraternal Order of Police decided to endorse Donald Trump and we all went, the fuck? Isn't he a convicted felon? Well, then Donald Donald Trump went ahead and did the thing he promised he was going to do. The thing they apparently were, supporting him for. He pardoned the January 6th hostages, most of whom did violent things. Allowing those convicted of these crimes to be released early diminishes accountability and devalues the sacrifices made by courageous law enforcement officers and their families. When perpetrators of crimes, especially serious crimes, are not held fully accountable, it sends a dangerous message. Did you or did you not endorse a convicted felon? It sends a dangerous message that the consequences for attacking law enforcement are not severe, potentially emboldening others to commit similar acts of violence. You mean like when you endorsed the guy who tried to storm the Capitol? The IACP and the FOP are deeply discouraged by the recent pardons and commutations granted by both the Biden and Trump administrations to individuals convicted of killing or assaulting law enforcement officers. The IACP and FOP firmly believe that those convicted of such crimes should serve their full sentences. Oh, here we go. Crimes against law enforcement are not just attacks on individuals or public safety. They're attacks on society and undermine the rule of law. It's great that you've protected yourself with that. So, Popo, how you feeling about that FAFO?
The leopard strikes again. Attention, please help. President Trump and Senator Ted Cruz. My wife is a nurse and was recently hired by the VA. Following Trump's hiring freeze executive order, the VA rescinded her job offer. My wife is in tears and inconsolable, and my family is devastated. Now our family is lost with no clear path of what to do. We are all huge Trump supporters, and I know this was an unintended consequence. I'm sure veterans medical care professionals were not the target of this executive order. Please help me get this message to the White House. He controls the federal government. Congress is controlled by Republicans, which means now they're also going to control the funding to the VA. Good luck figuring that out the hard way.
I never thought the leopards would eat my face. No.